Hello, in this short video, I will try to explain our point on the uh, diagnosis of osteoporotic vertebral fracture. We want to emphasize that in most of cases, the diagnosis is based on statistical probability rather than a absolute diagnosis. First of all, I hope to point out that vertebral fractures are common in subjects without osteoporosis, and even more so among men. For example, this article, spine fracture, 67% were from low falls. And this is an email exchange with Dr. David Wilson. He's based in Oxford, and he says that Um, for people with 40 to 50 normal BMD, fracture or compression deformities are very common. This is our study. Basically, we want to show that, for example, before 45 years old, all kinds of deformities are very common, even with end plate depression or end plate fracture. And this is a study from Germany. As you can see that for men before 50, that means 45 years old, you can see many fractures. Each red dot is a patient with fracture deformity. So this our result. So this is age. So fracture deformities are more common and more severe in men than in women. That's a radiographic fracture. However, for clinical fractures, the incidence is much lower in men than in women. Hong Kong, Japan, Australia, USA. So our point is a single vertebral fracture in older men. I mean, radiographic fracture is insufficient to suggest this man is osteoporotic. Some issues with the Jeanette 1994 or 1993 paper, because many people refer or they say they're grading according to the Jeanette criteria. But there are some issues. One is, let's say, this article says they grade VF when grade 1 is more than 20% height loss, 20 to 25% height loss. But the example they show is, for example, this is only 5%. This one and this one, they are all less than 10% height loss. To my knowledge, there is a training database in UCSF, and they classify those with less than 20%, even 5%. They grade them or they classify them as grade 1. So this will lead to over diagnosis. And also, like 20%, it's very difficult. We tried, it's quite, unless you have specific training and a regular collaboration, it's very difficult to estimate what is 20%. Of course, different readers have a different perception of 20% height loss. This graph is also well cited, but this type of fracture does not exist. This also, it will not appear like this. And probably some of you know there is a ABQ criteria which emphasize end plate fracture. However, end plate is a weak point for all kinds of deformities and fractures. And end plate fracture, we can still see them for people younger than 45 years old. So end plate is not specific for osteoporotic fracture. So how we do it? Of course, it evolved over the years. So what we are doing now is, first we try to set as a threshold or criteria when we classify vertebral fracture as osteoporotic or fragility fracture. So we did two studies. One is we tried for women, for men, is what proportion of cremated women with what severity of fracture correspond to what T-score. Actually, we should not say it's osteoporotic because we don't know. So what we do is we use 7 grades. So we have minimum, mild, moderate, moderate severe, severe, and collapsed. So this is less than 20%, 20 to 25%, 25% to one third to 40%, and or 40% to 2/3, and more than 2/3. And we give a score. -1 is mild, minimum is minus 0.5, and collapse is -3. I will skip these slides. Basically, we try uh, to answer these questions. What proportion of community men and women with what severity of multiple fracture corresponding to what T-score status? I will skip this. Okay, so this is what we conclude. So we have this grading, right? We have 0 is normal, minus 0.5 is less than 20%. Moderate, that means equal more than 25%. Severe is minus 2.5. So for women, if it's more than minus 1.5, statistically, this older woman is osteoporotic, and the fracture is osteoporotic fracture. For men, the threshold need to be more than minus 2.5. That means if it is single is 40% height loss. This is for single, it's 25% height loss. For women, it can also be 3 non-adjacent minimal grades, or 1 minimal grade and 1 mild grade. Mild grade is 20 to 25% height loss, or 1 moderate, which means 1 more than 25% height loss. This meets the criteria of osteoporotic vertebral fracture in women. For men, should be more than 40. As you can see, for men, this flexural deformity, the prevalence really increase after 70 years old. So for men before 70 or before 65, osteoporotic vertebral fracture is quite uncommon. So we did a validation. Well, that's a result for younger than 50, then higher or more than minus 1.5 is quite uncommon, and this is result for man. It's more or less reasonable. So, for example, if it's only -2, then it's quite common. When 50 or uh, 50 or 55. And we try to use this threshold to predict 5-year hip fracture risk. And we use the femoral neck BMD as a reference. And we confirm that for women, -1.5 deformity, it's very similar to femoral neck BMD criteria. Well, a little bit worse, but almost the same as the femoral neck. For men, the predictive value is also similar to femoral neck criteria. So this is a validation of our criteria. Okay, I try to make it fast. Uh, thank you. Hello. I'm sorry, have to explain a little bit more because Dr. Chen asked me to be quick, but I cannot explain very well when I try to speak English fast. Now, I hope to explain this point. So, we have a grading system which I explained, and then for a proper assessment of the whole spine, we add the score together. For example, if we have the whole spine, I mean the thoracic spine and lumbar spine, then we add this score together. Therefore, we have this like a 3 non-adjacent minimal grade or 1 minimum or 1 mild grade. Uh, so we add the score uh, together. But when we do a CT scan, for example, we all have the chest or we all have the abdomen, then we do the same. Then in this case, we can rule in, but we cannot rule out. Means if we see a fracture meet this threshold, then we can say this is osteoporotic fracture. However, if we cannot see or we cannot the criteria did not reach the threshold, then we cannot rule out these are osteoporotic fracture. It's one point. And second, that we try to emphasize that the height loss you cannot roughly estimate. If you want to be, particularly when the threshold, when it's very severe, then it's not a problem. Like 25, 20, it's difficult to be to estimate. So what we do is we published an article. Then we have a database. So we need to consistently calibrate our reading with this database. So therefore, I try to emphasize this measured because this like a 23 you rule out, 26 you rule in, then it's difficult to estimate. If you do a measurement, mm, whatever the argument, you have a base. Otherwise, different people have different opinion. What is 20% height loss? Yeah. Uh, so that's all. Sorry, I need to add this. Bye bye.